Welcome, everyone, from all over the world. We have registrations from 21 countries, and so this is truly a global conference. We hope you will learn, be inspired, and share your learning with others after the event. Let's talk a little bit about hiring, since we are all in the business of selling our products and services. At any job interview, there's one question, if never asked directly, they will ask indirectly, and that is, why should we hire you? It's actually the most dreaded question in a job interview, even though it seems simple. But to answer this, always remember, to be hired, you need to show your value is higher than your price. That is the only way people get hired. Because if your value is lower than the price, you will not get hired. And the higher your value, the more likely they will buy. And this is a key reason why organizations pursue celebrities. This feeling of value can go up or down during a job interview. And I'm going to share a story to illustrate this. I had just finished high school and I needed a job. So my professor took me on his motorbike to meet the principal of a school. "This is my best student in English. Please consider him to teach English at your school," he said. I was 17 years old with long curly hair and Elvis Presley sideburns. It was a cool look of the 1970s. But that look reduced my value in the eyes of the principal. She took one look at me and said, "Sorry, I cannot hire such a young boy." Boy? My ears stung when I heard that because I felt insulted. It left me speechless. I wanted to storm and run away from the room. But before I could move, my professor pleaded, "But he has many other talents." The principal looked up. "Really? What other talents does he have?" "He can sing and play the guitar." Suddenly, my value went up. The principal turned to me. "Can you teach young children to sing and play the guitar?" "I've never done this, but I'm willing to try." "Okay, you can start on Monday." I was taken aback. What just happened? I started in the negative and yet ended up in the positive after my value was properly represented. That was an early lesson, and that's the key. I learned that every job has two parts. One is required, in this case, teaching English. That was required. The other part is something that we can uniquely bring to the job. And that's where the money is and the value is for people to make the hiring decision. That's when your value becomes much higher than your competitors because you're bringing that extra. And your personal brand is your value proposition. You must know it, cultivate it, enhance it, leverage it to earn the highest compensation possible for your work. At tonight's event or today's event, depending on where you are, you will hear from 10 speakers who are earnestly building their personal brands. They're in different phases of their journey because personal branding is a journey. There is no end to your greatness. as you grow great, you actually have the capacity to become even greater, because it's a step-by-step process, it's an iterative process. And so don't be afraid to start. And I hope that you will be inspired to start your journey. If you haven't started already, I want you to start today after this event. Let me introduce Shani Smith. Shani Smith is going to talk about my time is not your time. My time is not your time. Shani Smith.
Have you ever wanted to press the fast forward button to get to your desired goal or destination? I was born to be in a rush. My mother planned to deliver me by natural childbirth, but ended up having a cesarean section because I was coming out feet first, ready to hit the ground running. I was in a hurry to be successful. In elementary school, I wanted to complete my classwork quickly and make good grades. I took advanced placement courses in high school, hoping to earn college credit to finish college early. In college, I took summer classes to graduate college in 3 years. However, I graduated in 4 years because I joined a graduate degree prep program that required additional coursework. In my mind, my fast track to success slowed down when I went to graduate school at North Carolina State University to pursue a PhD in chemistry. At this institution, I was no longer a high achiever. I nearly flunked out my first semester due to the coursework being more rigorous than my undergraduate studies. To increase my GPA, I had to take an organic chemistry class over again. In addition, I had to take 2 graduate level statistics courses. It took 3 years to complete my graduate coursework and defend my master's thesis. After defending the thesis, I was asked by my professor if I wanted to continue to pursue a PhD. I was relieved that I had obtained a master's degree, but mentally and financially stressed by the entire graduate school experience. I sought employment instead. I felt I had spent enough time pursuing that goal, and it was time for me to travel and really enjoy my life. Had I made a hasty decision by not staying in school to earn a PhD? I wrestled with this question for many years until I attended a few networking events and saw many people with PhDs in chemistry seeking employment. In my personal life, I wanted to be married and have children by age 28. However, I didn't have my first child until 15 years past my deadline. Does success take longer for some than it does for others? Possibly. Mark Zuckerberg became a billionaire 4 years after founding Facebook, whereas Eric Yuan founded Zoom at the age of 41 in 2011, after leaving his position as vice president of engineering at Cisco Systems. When the company went public in 2019, Yuan became a billionaire. Toni Morrison wrote her first novel, The Bluest Eye, at age 40, while she was working at Random House as an editor. At age 56, she won the Pulitzer Prize in fiction for her book, Beloved. And at 62, she won the Nobel Prize in literature. Comedic actress Betty White, whose award-winning career spanned over 8 decades, didn't become iconic until she joined the cast of The Mary Tyler Moore Show in 1973 at age 51. Eric Yuan, Toni Morrison, and Betty White are just a few examples of people who achieved great success later in life. Reading briefly about their stories and reflecting on my own has provided me with 3 takeaways. Number 1, run your own race. Social media makes it so easy to see people achieving success and may make you feel that you're behind or will never be successful. Remember that most of the posts you're seeing are only a snapshot designed to give the appearance of success. And number 2, Set your goals, but silence your mental clock. Setting a timeline to complete your goals is great to mitigate procrastination. However, don't be discouraged if you don't accomplish your goals at the time that you set in your mind. And last but not least, number 3, success requires perseverance and consistently immersing yourself in positivity. It likely will take longer than you expect to become successful. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people and reading and listening to uplifting material will ease the journey to success. Lastly, if people ask you why you haven't achieved a certain career goal or personal milestone yet, look them in their eyes and simply reply, my time is not your time. Thank you. And now I am delighted to invite Tatiana Ryan to the stage to deliver her speech entitled, Harness What Makes You Unique. Tatiana Ryan, Harness What Makes You Unique.
Thank you, Shani. So one of the things that you pointed out, I'm going to build upon, and that is what we see in others or in social media. So in order to create a lasting personal brand, you have to stand out. So you'll never be able to be the best at someone if you're trying to be someone else, because someone else is already the best at being someone else. Only you can be you. You also have to think about the fact that just because something is easy for you doesn't mean that it's easy for everyone or that it doesn't add great value. I'm not saying don't just take the easy way, because that's not how we grow and become better. But what I'm saying is that you can harness the things that you already have and build upon that and be the most standout person by just being yourself. Some people are not themselves because they're scared of rejection. But even when you are trying to be somebody else or putting a facade or trying to tone down certain things, not everybody's going to like you. And that's just the fact of life. So if you are being your own true self, you will attract people that are attracted to you. And the people who don't click with you, that is okay. They're just not meant to click with you. But you'll find that you'll start surrounding yourselves with like-minded people, and they will support you, they'll be sounding boards, and they will be your champions. So one of the things that I've seen in my experience is I tell people I'm an engineer, and they look at me and they're not expecting someone that looks like me. I like to wear pink. I like heels. I come across as a scattered brain, happy-go-lucky person. But really, really quickly, I can switch on my nerd hat and geek out about the weirdest things. But that's okay, that's me. I started my career in aerospace and defense, and there I was myself. I didn't always fit in, but I managed to find my tribe. So the people that were similar to me were attracted to me. So my best friend had purple highlights in her hair and did musical theater. And this was before colorful hair was the vogue. And it really helped me lift up and prove that I could be an engineer and I could be a woman engineer and be nerdy, but also be girly and personable and wear pink, if you would. Because I had set up this foundation of being myself, this was before I knew about personal brand, but I was setting up the foundations for my personal brand. I decided to change careers. So it's not really easy, if any of you have done this, to go from one career path to another. So 8 years in, I decided to leave aerospace and defense. I got my master's in tissue engineering, and I went into the brave new world of biopharmaceuticals. Because I had already started to establish what would later become my personal brand, it was not as daunting as I thought it was going to be in the beginning, especially since I had moved continents. So aerospace and defense was in the US, and I moved here to Ireland to do my master's, loved it, decided to stay. And it really helped me navigate the trickiness of being able to start in a brand new industry by showcasing my transferable skills. So similar to what Dr. Hasib had said about, you know, he might have not had all the qualifications to be an English teacher that someone would think of being a traditional English teacher. There were other assets that you can tap into your own uniqueness that will make you an even better candidate than the people that might be thinking in their heads. So I don't know if I would recommend a drastic career change to everybody, but I really, really would like for you to think about what are the things that make you shine, and really focus on them. Because imagine a world where you're doing what you love, what you're meant to do, and what makes you happy, and then get paid for it. So thank you so much for your attention. I would like to please welcome the amazing Felix Okoth to the stage with his talk titled Connecting the Cubes. So Felix Okoth, Connecting the Cubes, everybody.
Be a leader. Tell stories with integrity and use ethical influence to bring people together to a common vision. During one leadership meeting, I kept speaking and speaking, talking and talking about the rationale for proceeding with a project to meet speed to market. Then all of a sudden, one of the engineering managers raised his hand and said to me, Felix, sometimes it's good to know when to stop selling. I kept pushing and pushing until we got approval to proceed. Every time I remember this experience, I text the manager and remind him of the incidents. And he usually replies, Felix, your biggest strength is integrity. It's very rare these days. Make sure everyone knows that. My goal for the speech today is to inspire anyone by highlighting a few areas of my life through the lens of a Rubik's Cube and show how my lived experiences have shaped my personal brand journey. A few days ago, I shared with my wife a Bible story and reasons why I believe that my future is fueled by my past. Before my mother dropped me and my brother at the orphanage in Kenya, she took us to a fortune teller. I remember being instructed to drop a coin to the street and to continue walking straight without looking back. In the Bible, the book of Genesis, Lot's family was instructed the same way. Now that I can reflect on this moment and other lived experiences up to this point in my life, I have a strong reason to never give up on finding my future, to never give up on uplifting people, and to never give up on inspiring people to tell their stories. You are the hero of your own unique story. And in this very moment, you are the hero of my story too. After following a systematic approach for 8 months, I finally realized and determined my personal brand symbol, Rubik's Cube. Actually, my kids helped me. I kept losing my Rubik's Cube around the house, and my kids will find it on their toy baskets, under the couch, somewhere else around the house. It was always in plain sight, and I only realized how to connect the dots during my personal brand journey. I chose Rubik's Cube as my personal brand symbol because I was looking for patterns in my life that I can embrace and use as motivation for me and to inspire others. Every once in a while, my kids will ask me to play that song on YouTube by Tommy Evans, Inner Greatness, Inner Greatness. And sometime I will catch them singing, Inner Greatness, Inner Greatness. Come on, sing with me. Inner greatness, inner greatness. It makes me so happy to hear them think this way. There is simplicity in complexity. The complexity of a Rubik's Cube makes me wonder why my math teacher, Mr. George, used to tell me something in front of class that made people laugh while I was studying in Ghana. Every time, after every math exam, he will look at the paper and look at me and say to me in my face, Felix, instead of touching your nose like this, you touch your nose like this by wrapping your arm around your head. Now, I want everyone in the audience to try this with me. Touch your nose like this. Just follow my direction. Touch your nose like this. How simple is it? Now touch your nose by wrapping your arm around your head. How complex is it? Your path could be different. And if you keep trying and trying consistently, you will be able to touch your nose. My friends will never leave me alone with this memory. And I usually remind them that this mindset of solving complex problems is what led me to engineering. And to this very moment, the opportunity to speak with all of you, wherever you are around the world, I'm so grateful. With passion, perseverance, persistence, creativity, grit, and multicultural leadership skills, I believe that everything is possible. Once you solve the Rubik's Cube, just like magic, everything about the complexity becomes very simple. The patterns, the colors become very visible. Same way, if you focus on your uniqueness, your personal brand will stand out and become visible. The different colors in the Rubik's Cube represent my unique experiences in different countries and how I use ethical influence to bring different people from different cultures together. All I needed to do is to look into my past and connect the dots. Same way, if you do the same, you will see magic. Everyone is a magician in our own unique way. In every step, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Never give up. And now I'm thrilled to invite Lynn Barnett to the stage with a speech titled, Finding Lightness in Dark Times. Lynn Barnett, Finding Lightness in Dark Times.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I think in order to define inner greatness, we need to first define outer greatness. For me, that would be what we see on TV, like firefighters rescuing people from a burning building. I don't have that kind of courage, but I think we all have some inner greatness that just needs an external force or source to spark, with no pun intended, that inner greatness. For me, that inner greatness came out when my husband and I took care of my mom for 5 years when she had Alzheimer's. I never thought that my mom would get Alzheimer's, nor that our lives would be upended by it, but I had to remind myself that neither did she on either count. I wrote a book chronicling this time called My Mother Has Alzheimer's and My Dog Has Tapeworms, A Caregiver's Tale. I thought of the title when I realized that this broad's once broad life was reduced to the pressing health concerns of my mom and dog. Speaking of the latter, when I practiced my speeches about the book, our dog would often look at me and nod as if she were nodding in approval, but other times she was nodding off and snoring, no less. So I hope I don't make you do that. I've entitled this speech, Finding Light in Dark Times. My mom knew the value of lightness, of humor, especially in the face of dark times. When she had a mammogram, or as I like to call it, a mommogram, which showed cancer, she had the recommended surgery. When her friends would ask her how she was feeling, she'd say, I feel fine. I just take lousy pictures. If she could find humor in her cancer diagnosis, I could follow suit when it came to her Alzheimer's diagnosis. To that end, I wrote the book with humor and heart. Sometimes inner greatness means standing up for yourself, even when you're sitting down. So if you're sitting down in the dentist chair and they start to numb the wrong side of your mouth, even if your gum is numb, speak up. Equally as important is knowing when not to speak up, like when a driver cuts you off. Physical and mental restraint keep you in the driver's seat. My mom liked being in the driver's seat, but when Alzheimer's took over, she was reluctant to let me take over the driving. I have a chapter entitled Karma, C-A-R capital M-A, and Karma, K-A-R-M-A, because luckily the latter intervened and her car became disabled. One of the keys to inner greatness is knowing when to take away the keys. My husband didn't have to deal with that with his Alzheimer's-ridden mom because she didn't drive, but she could drive me crazy. One day we were visiting her in her assisted living facility, and she pointed to me and then told him to get that heifer out of here. I didn't say anything then and there, but when we got back to the car, my inner something came out, boy. I told him that X number of extra pounds does not a heifer make. And even if they did, it was a rude thing for her to say. Then he explained her diluted and diluted mindset, that she sometimes thought he was her husband, her late husband, but she forgot that fact, and that he was having an affair with me. And heifer was her term for that kind of a woman. So in her mind, I wasn't a pudgy woman. I was the other woman. And I said, oh, gee, thanks. Now, isn't that sad that I'd rather be known as a homewrecker than as a woman with a middle age spread? That's what society does to us, or sometimes what we do to ourselves. Later that week, my husband and I are watching Jeopardy, and the clue was a cow whose spelling defies the I before E rule. I before E except after C or when sounded as a neighbor away. And it's heifer, H-E-I-F-E-R. And I'm screaming at the set, heifer, heifer, heifer. I don't think the contestants knew it, but I knew it. Part of inner greatness is knowing when to put things behind you. And you'll be happy to know that I've put heifer behind me. Just ask my hips. Inner greatness sometimes involves leaving your comfort zone. In another book I wrote, and I'll show that, What Patients Want, Anecdotes and Advice, I mentioned that we've gone from BYOB, bring your own beverage, to BYOA, either bring or be your own advocate, so you can advocate for yourself and others. If ever I was going to not only talk the talk, but walk the walk regarding the latter, it was in a surgeon's waiting room where a patient passed out and no one was helping them. I walked up to the receptionist window and uncharacteristically for me, I banged on that window and screamed, important, to get her attention. And she was able to get help right away. My husband also had inner greatness. We had gone to see the play Beautiful about the singer-songwriter Carole King. There was a special needs child behind me who'd kick my seat every so often. Sensing how hard it must have been for the parents, I tried to ignore it. During intermission, my husband offered to change seats with me, but he didn't say why. I thought he just wanted a different view of the stage, so we switched. As we were driving home, I told him about the actions of the child behind me, and he said that's why he changed seats with me. He made that nice gesture without making a big deal over it. Now, wasn't that beautiful? I think I got my inner greatness from both of my parents, who grew up during the Depression, but far from that causing depression in either of them, I think they developed strength from within, from doing without. The one thing that no one thought my mom would have to do without was her brain. I had to compensate by using my brain to not blame her for her Alzheimer's-induced agitation. I tried not to have cross words with her, but I did do crosswords, as in crossword puzzles. How appropriate, since Alzheimer's can be a puzzling disease. I learned to think on my feet, but I tried to think with my heart as well. This was especially true when my mom had Alzheimer's-induced auditory hallucinations, when the one voice she really needed to hear was mine. One day, she was insistent that someone was knocking on her bedroom door. My convenient fib was that I was doing laundry, and she must have heard the washer lid go up and down when I was transferring clothes to the dryer. I was a liar, liar, pants and dryer. Later that night, she again asked, who's that knocking on my door? It reminded me of the old TV show Mama's Family, where the title character would ask the same thing. I was my mama's family, and there was no one knocking on her door. The knock-knock was in her head. I know you're thinking that begs for a knock-knock joke. So here's one for thought rather than for a belly laugh. I know you'll know your part. Knock, knock. Doctor. Doctor Who, the fictional character, said, in the end, all our lives are just stories. We may as well make them a good one, eh? That's what I tried to do here and in the books. My mom must have had a good story within her. One day she was counting, as she often did, I think because the math part of her brain remained strong while other parts disintegrated. This particular day, she said, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the end of my story. Well, that's the end of my story. This is Lynn Barnett, and now I'm happy to welcome Victoria Somm to the stage, who'll share her story entitled The Somm Way or the Highway. Again, here's Victoria Somm, The Somm Way or the Highway.
Funny thing is that the Somm Way is definitely happening right now as the I'm demonstrating you right here on assignment with my kids that we are moving somewhere. So timing just didn't work out that well, but I hope you can see me and hear me well. Here they're saying hello. So let me just put this right here. Perfect. Okay. So I want to talk to you today about the Somm Way because it's something that is personal branding for me, but that most people do not realize how it affects them as well. And the Somm Way, I coined that expression as a way to express the need and all of the challenges that stay-at-home moms go through. So as I was just telling you, part of what's happening for me right now is that we are moving, and I just did not want to have this miss out on this opportunity. So it's on, and we are on right now. Does anybody actually have any stay-at-home mom in their, family, or any of you is a stay-at-home mom by any chance? No? Oh. Well, what I want to tell you is that you do have the opportunity to make a big difference in the lives of stay-at-home moms. And my personal branding journey is really growing with my stay-at-home mom journey. As I want to explain that to you, it is a valuable addition to all of my personal experiences, professional and in my education as I went on to achieve a higher educational goals. And as the Somm journey is a philosophy that I developed to have people be more aware of the impact and the power of stay-at-home moms in our societies. I currently working with several local businesses to help them understand the impact and the opportunity that they have to work with stay-at-home moms. Now, the challenges that stay-at-home moms are facing are the same challenges that actually we do face as professionals trying to develop our personal branding. I'll just as an example, juggling several. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because this is my everyday life, and they know what's going on. They know mommy's working, and it's part of our of our journey. And this is actually something that I encourage all the moms that I help and coach on, being just authentic, not trying to hide the way they are, not trying to hide what's going on in their life, and have everyone included in the process. With the COVID everything that happened with COVID, everybody was on Zoom, and a lot of people were just kind of like trying to hide what, everything that was going on. And I think that's really where my personal branding developed, and for people to really just be who they are. I mean, your personal branding is who you are. Sometimes I feel like people trying to create personas, especially with social media, and it's really not authentic. It's not them. And I just want to get everybody involved in the process in my journey. It's very personal. I do not remember from past, in the past, having that drive to help stay-at-home moms. They are oftentimes underestimated, overlooked, and it's very challenging for them. And the problem is that we keep it for us. We just keep it. We don't talk about it. We just go on with life because life is so busy. I have 3 little ones. They're just behind me. You're probably gonna see them. But I just want to have that recognition for all stay-at-home moms out there. Most of them, just like me, a lot of them, I want to say, have had personal and professional experiences that were successful. They had big dreams, big goals. I'm not doing what I really wanted to do, from as being a kid. If you ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up? I was not, I wasn't going to say I want to be an advocate for stay-at-home moms. But my personal journey, my Sam way, my Sam journey, as I usually call, transitioned me into that. And as I watch the children's grow, I watch my own journey. And my own journey translates into my personal branding. And my personal branding is deeply rooted into my inner greatness. And this is what I really fight for, to get people to understand and have, whether I'm talking about family members, partners, entrepreneurs, company owners, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs to understand that we're all in this together. And personal branding does not does not stop with a logo. It doesn't just start there. It's not a logo. It's not a name. It's an attitude. It's a way of life. You have to breathe it. You have to live it. And in order to do this, you have to know yourself. You have to know where you're going. And just like Felix said, your past fuels your future. I do have this strong belief that we can all work together. We do not have to agree. It's okay. And the value that stay-at-home moms bring into society is greater than what we try to do. I mean, it's greater than what we usually see. So today I am very honored to have this opportunity, and it's actually a good thing. Well, I don't know for you the experience, but it is a good thing because it's really part of the whole Sam way, the whole philosophy of embracing your challenges, embracing the change, embracing the transition. The experience that we have as professionals and also as parents and children of other parents that we have to transfer this experience that we have. You want to actually leave a legacy to your children, to teach them to embrace who they are and to love and to respect diversity. So this is my message today. It's it's a little, I feel like I forgot a lot of things, but I hope that you do have this opportunity to reflect on how the stay-at-home mom journey can apply to all your own personal branding. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. I was just about to introduce the next speaker, Bill Kaiser.
What the world needs now are leaders, but that's great. That's fine.
I had it. What the world.
And I just absolutely loved your speech because it's so relatable and it perfectly exhibits what the different things that we all struggle as professionals and that are part of our lives and are part of our brand. So I related well with your message and appreciated the authenticity. So first off, I want to thank our guests, the panel speakers, and obviously Dr. Hasib for hosting this incredible event. When I was first approached with this honor, I kept having the same idea kind of running through my psyche and through my mind, is the idea of leadership. So what is leadership? Leadership is the simple act of guiding others toward a purpose, helping them achieve their inner greatness. Yet poor leadership is too prevalent in our society. As a young man, when I was in the military, I observed that leadership was exhibited by the person who had a higher rank on their shoulder, or the one who shouted the loudest, who demanded reverence from their commanding soldiers. Even in our society, our political leaders are purchased by the highest bidder. And many chief executives serve the demands of boards and investors while investing minimally in the very people that produce their record-setting profits. Position or rank on a uniform does not make a leader any more than sitting in a garage makes one a car. This has caused many people in corporate America to have their careers dwarfed, as organizations want people educated, skillful, and able enough to serve their purposes, but no more than needed, as people may demand further financial recognition. Or they invest too heavily in people and they go elsewhere or start their own branding and use their talents to impact society and their industry in a meaningful way. So what does that mean for the leader in us? The fact that you've come to this conference tells me that you have that inner greatness within you. And a common thread that I think runs through many of us that's been exhibited by our speakers is this idea of leadership, this idea of being unique. I relate better with the model outlined by Bill Gates, who said, as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. This is the sustainable, repeatable, and beneficial model that allows everyone to reach inner greatness, and it propels our society into the next generation of innovation, growth, and development. So I found a few key things that have helped me along the way as I establish my own branding and develop into the leader that our world desperately needs. First, I would say find your why. What is it that drives you? Is there a change in society that beckons your calling? I noticed a tremendous need in older individuals through an incident with my neighbors. My neighbors are retired individuals, and they have gone much of their careers not having to interact with technology. And now they're being forced more and more online to get services, order groceries, meet with their doctor, and they have no idea how to do that in a secure manner. And as a cybersecurity professional, I think it's incumbent upon me and us as a collective to empower individuals to be able to navigate their space in a way that's secure. Many people in this age group don't even know that they're a target. But my neighbors, unfortunately, had a situation where via the Amazon account, their computer had been compromised. I was able to restore service to their computer, but I've also used it as a way to give back, to educate them, to empower them to be able to navigate this new world that they're waking up in that is increasingly causing them to engage in something that they may not be familiar with. And when it comes to this idea of your why, Dr. Hasib has warned, don't allow other conversations and discourse to detract from your primary focus, your niche, and your passions. I have political ideologies. I'm a deeply religious man, but I do not allow conversations that detract from my message or can any way hurt my personal branding and impede my niche that I have found and the need that society has. Stay focused on your why, and anything that detracts from it is unnecessary and it dilutes your message. Put people above operations or duty. I have made it a personal priority as a leader to engage people where they are. I want to dig in and find out what occupies their focus when on the job so I can lead in an effective way. Meet people where they are and be flexible to allow for adjustments when focus for them has to reside elsewhere. We all have things that are going on outside of our corporate initiatives, our independent initiatives, and those are the things that I want to know about people, because those are the engagements that people are going to remember. People are not going to remember a lot of your engagements at work, but they will remember things that happen on a personal level. And connected with that is be authentic. Everybody can sense when things are forced or manufactured. If you do not authentically care about people, perhaps leadership is not the avenue for you, and that's okay. It begins with relationships with people. Everything boils down to relationships, creating moments where people memorize your interaction and know that they can count or rely upon your wisdom, your flexibility, and compassion to allow them to be authentic versions of themselves and will willingly follow someone that they know who cares, who is personally invested in them bringing out their inner greatness. Be equitable and consistent. Don't allow favoritism or a caste type system to infiltrate your operation. Treat everyone equitably, equally, and fairly. No one should ever feel that they are less or valued any less by another. Let personal be personal. Business is business. And keeping with the theme of this conference, empower others to achieve greatness for themselves, which will naturally overflow in the work that they do for you. All people have aspirations and goals. Engage with them to understand their goals and be vigilant about being key in their development and achievement of their aspirations, which will inherently impact the organization and the mission for the positive, and you'll have a much happier, more content workforce and team. This leadership is infectious. As Dr. Hasib began to share his passions with me through his literature and through our interactions, it caught on with me. It really, for lack of a better term, is infectious, and I wanted to share. And this leadership, this type of leadership will breed more leaders that are determined to do it right. And before we know it, we've changed the culture of leaders and leadership. And finally, commit to be a lifelong learner. Constantly pursue education and research to stay abreast of changes in your field. This is particularly important for me as a cyber professional, as Technology changes by the minute. It's no longer yearly updates. It's constantly staying engaged. Pursue certifications, which assure third-party partners and people that you lead of your commitment to advancement and of your affluence. So my last statement would be, go forth and lead. The world needs it. Our organizations are starving for it. And you were made for this. And now it's my honor to invite the lovely, intelligent, and talented Grace Kamau to the stage with the speech, Invest in Yourself. Invest in yourself, Grace Kamau.
Thank you so much, Bill Kaiser. That was a really great talk. One, it shows that investing in yourself, how it's important to become the leader that the world is starving for, as Bill Kaiser stated. Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to share a journey that embodies the essence of the American dream, a journey filled with resilience, determination, and unwavering pursuit of one's passion. You see, my American dream began when I attended the United States International University in Nairobi, Kenya. Upon graduating, my aspiration turned towards pursuing a master's degree in the United States. I was certain that that dream would become a reality, but I did not know how. My initial career venture included implementing biometric smart card systems in hospitals. The role demanded a profound understanding of integrations of these systems with various complex hospital systems. Realizing my limitations, I sought guidance and learned about the Certified Information Systems Auditor course, which would equip me with the knowledge I needed. Little did I know that this course would spark my enduring love for cybersecurity. One fateful day, while checking my email at a cyber cafe, I stumbled upon an offering, a chance to apply for a green card for free. Seizing the opportunity, I snapped the right photo and submitted my application. A year later, after completing my thesis studies, I received a letter from the Kentucky Consular Center informing me that I had won a green card. Excitement surged through me as I prepared to embark on my American adventure. I landed in Silver Spring, Maryland, full of anticipation. However, my initial job search yielded numerous rejections despite my qualifications. Determined to adapt, I delved into the world of medical coding, completing a course at Johns Hopkins. Even though my IT degree was already impressive, I persisted in my pursuit. Seeking a fresh start, I relocated to Boston, Massachusetts. I secured a position as a medical biller. Although it wasn't my ideal role, I continued applying myself. Eventually, I became an account manager at Athena Health. However, with US citizenship in hand, I pursued my dream further, obtaining my master's degree in cybersecurity. I shifted roles to become a NOC engineer, a network operations center engineer, but something was amiss. The role didn't align with my ultimate goal. So I enrolled to a full stack web development bootcamp, subsequently landing a job as a software engineer, yet my thirst for cybersecurity remained unquenched. Undeterred, I pursued the Certified Information Systems Manager certification and succeeded. Santander Bank welcomed me into their vulnerability management team in 2020. Amidst the challenges of the pandemic, I faced an unexpected layoff. However, I didn't dwell on adversity. I interviewed with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for a cybersecurity engineer role, and I succeeded in securing the position. But my story did not stop there. A chance encounter with Dr. Hasib's book, Bring Inner Greatness Out, opened up my eyes to new possibilities. One big thing that changed my life was the fact that I saw myself as an introvert. That stopped me in pursuing a lot of opportunities because of the thought of myself as an introvert. And in the introduction of the book, Bring Inner Greatness Out, Dr. Hasib delved into the idea that the reason that you're an introvert is because you have not taken as many risks. I said, this is a paradigm shift. I might as well pursue it and see what this will lead me. So I reached out to Dr. Hasib on LinkedIn. reached out to him. I explained how I had loved his book and how I wanted to lead my career to the next level. And he reviewed my resume. He talked to me. I discussed the book further, gave me ideas. From Dr. Hasib's conversation, I started pursuing my PhD, and then secured a higher level role, a cybersecurity specialist role in an energy company. And this began a new journey. When I started understanding this idea of personal branding, I came to realize that the idea has not to be about searching for a job. It's about the kind of person you bring into the job. And this is the beginning of my new journey. I'm exploring it. I'm finding ways to be a thought leader. I am still in the journey of finding myself and finding what kind of brand, what type of things do I want to bring my voice into. Thank you for this new story, Dr. Hasib, that has started in my life. You have surely left the footprints on the sands of time, and it has been easy for me to follow your footsteps. Now, with those few remarks, I would like to invite Dr. Dennis Okui with his talk, Riveting Concepts, Developing Your Uniqueness.
Thank you very much, Grace. Well, on a fateful day of 2013, I was in my home office, minding my own business. Then comes in one of my daughters, who was 10 years old at that time. So she stood there and she was just looking at the books, the home library. And after a while, I asked her, so how can I help you? She said, I was just looking at the books. We have a lot of books. And I said, yes, we do. And she said, I want to count them. And I said, okay, go ahead and count them. Well, after what felt like an eternity, she finished counting the books. And I said, okay, so you're done? She said, yes. I said, well, how many do we have? She said, about 700 something books. I said, well, that's impressive. Thank you very much for doing that. Then I thought she would just go back to what she was doing because I was working. And she stood there and she was looking at me. And I said, something I can help with? And she said, well, I saw the books, but I didn't see any of your books. That's why the 10-year-old girl told me. And I said, well, you see that shelf that is in the corner there? All those, they are my books. She said, but why is it that they are not as nice as the ones that are here? I said, well, guess what? They will be nice one day. And she looked at me and she went out. So let me tell you what happened. I have a lot of manuscripts that I wanted to publish years ago. But with what is going on and the way the publishing industry is, I figured out that I cannot do all that job and just let somebody take advantage of my work. Consequently, I have been piling those writings, those books in that shelf in the corner there. Few years later, 2 years, I would say 2 years later, I went to a conference at Baltimore, which happened to be a cybersecurity conference. And one of the speakers happened to be the chair of the department of cybersecurity of the university where I went. Well, I know the name, I know the speaker, but we've never met. I listened. And then when he finished, I said, well, I am this, and well, I know you are the chair of my department, but we've never met. That was the beginning of a new relationship between myself and Dr. Mansur Hasib. And I will tell you that in the presentation that Dr. Hasib made that day, there were two things that really caught my attention. The first thing he talked about was cybersecurity leadership. You see, for some of you who are new to this platform, Cybersecurity Leadership was the first book of Dr. Hasib, the first technical book, because before that he has two books. But Cybersecurity Leadership was the third book, but the first technical book that he wrote. So when he talked about a book during the conference, I was like, wow, this is interesting. And then he cornered a term that struck me. He said, people-powered perpetual innovation. People-powered perpetual innovation, which means you have to keep going. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. When after the conference, we met, we talked, and it happened to be a 2-day conference. So the second day we met again. That was the beginning of my change, a total transformation, total transformation. So when I came back that day, I reviewed all my manuscripts that I have in the corner there, and I start polishing them out. And in 2021, I published the first one, which is in fact a technical study about the energy system in the United States and related to cybersecurity. And at the time I'm talking to you, I am finishing up another book, which I should be ready by November or late December, it should be published. So I am telling you this story to say that sometimes we will think we're just wandering around, minding our own business, but we just don't know one thing or one person that we will meet will change completely the way we say things. Now, when I take the books of Dr. Hasib, and I went through the first one, the cybersecurity leadership, I've been trying to apply everything he said there. And then he came out with a second book. That was interesting. Well, and now we definitely have to get our inner self out. And I said, well, if this is the case, then I will definitely do that. So for me, I went in, read the book, did all the comments I can do, and I found out that there is a chapter there that I can be using every single day. It's personally the chapter on how do we build a personal brand. In that specific chapter, Dr. Hasib talks about 7 different steps. I used that in one of my other conferences that I have. And when I was speaking, I reached the 3rd step. So the first step is discover you. You know, you have to discover you. And then the second step, you have to embrace you. When I reached this point of embracing you, somebody at the audience, who happened to be the first or the second row, just said very loud, I don't believe in that anymore. You know, I was just continuing my business. I didn't mind. And at the end, I saw this lady, I was greeting people, and this lady walked out to me and said, you know what? I was the person who said, I don't believe in that anymore. And she said, to tell you the truth though, sometimes I feel like there is a lot I could do, but I just don't know how. Well, I said, I'm glad you came forward because you will learn how. Indeed, you will learn how. But the first thing I want you to do is to definitely learn to have fun when you are around people. Because if you cannot have fun when you are around people, it will be difficult for you to go to the 3rd step, which is bringing your inner, personality out. And even if you try to bring that inner personality out by force, it will not be in relationship with the universe because your relationship with people is not as fun as you may think. And I'm telling you, a year later, and this happened before the pandemic, a year later, this lady was vibrant. She changed completely. She changed completely. So I'm telling this story to say that there is a lot you and I can take out of these conferences. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the other step that is very important is to ensure that we practice. Very important. Until we start practicing what we are talking about, as we start practicing what is in the book, it will be very difficult to evolve. And the other thing is something very important that Dr. Hasib talked about is to ensure that we protect our brands. Because at the end of the day, we all know what is going on online. One person can just take your image or do whatever they do and they can destroy your brand. Other than ensuring that you have a limited liability company or corporation or an S corporation, one person can just take what you did and destroy your brand. And it will take you a while to reconstitute or to come out of that. So having said all that, I just want to encourage all of us that wherever we are and whatever we do, let's keep in mind that everything that needed to be done has to be done in terms of ensuring that it benefits other people. That's the only way we can assure that at the end of the day, we get the benefit of it. I know it's not easy. I know for some who have not been working with this concept, it can be a little difficult. But I just want to assure you that if some of us have started and it's evolving, you can also start if you have not yet. Personally, at this moment I'm talking to you, no matter the project I'm working on, I try to pass through those steps that Dr. Hasib talked about. I try to ensure that those steps are carefully reviewed. I try to break the project down at the granular level to ensure that everything that is being said there, it's minutiously screened as it should so that there is no problem at the end of the day. And I know that you can do it too. Thank you very much. Now I am thrilled to invite Jasmine Cole to the stage with Element of Success. Jasmine Cole, Element of Success.
Success occurs when opportunity meets preparation. A famous quote by Zig Ziglar. What is success? A word that has a unique meaning for all of us. For some, it's about a satisfactory completion of a task. For others, it could be about gaining wealth, respect, fame in society. And for some others, it could be about climbing Mount Everest or just mental peace. And some, it could be about making a difference in other people's life. So today, let's talk about success and what it takes to be successful. Number one, create your vision. Remember, your mind does what it thinks you want it to do. I repeat, your mind does what it thinks you want it to do. A famous author, Sean Anker, in his book, The Happiness Advantage, says, we are all reality architects. We create our own reality. Our thoughts create our reality, and our thoughts shape our life. So remember, choose your vision. Choose to dream big. And how do you do that? Simply define your goal. Define your end result. Picture it clearly in your mind, as if it's a painting or a drawing. And now connect an emotion or feeling you would experience if your goal is achieved. I repeat, simply define your goal and the end result. Picture it clearly in your mind, as if it's a drawing or a painting. Now, connect your feelings, your emotions with the experience as if your desired goal is already achieved. So what else we need to be successful? Stop negative thoughts. Stop being negative to yourself. Stop saying negative words to yourself. Be your best friend. Be your cheerleader. Stop saying, oh, I can't do this. That's hard for me. I've never done that before. What if I fail? What if she don't like, he don't like? What if I don't have this and that? Stop doing that. Stop feeding yourself negative. Remember, your thoughts of anxiety, fear, worry is going to impact your subconscious mind. Then your subconscious mind is always going to focus on the negative things, the negative energy, the negative events. And you will always focus on what went wrong. all the negative things. So today, let's pause for 10 seconds and practice how do you create your vision. Let's do this exercise. Take a piece of paper, pen, or a pencil, and write down 2 goals. 2 goals that you think, if you achieve, will make you feel successful. It could be about publishing a book, finding a new job, changing your career, or traveling the world. Let's write it down. And now, let's try to imagine that and create a vision around it. My goal of publishing a book, not just publishing a book, but publishing a bestseller. So imagine this book in your hand, the book that I always wanted to publish, and I've published it already. It's in my hand. I'm looking at the cover page, the introduction, and the notes where I'm thanking people who have helped me in this journey. And more than that, now I'm looking at the positive reviews of people. People saying positive things about my book, thanking me for putting all that emotion, that knowledge and information in one masterpiece, my bestseller book. Wow, that's amazing. A great feeling. Do you know that research has shown that writing down your goals enhances the possibility of achieving them? 44%, yes, 44% of the people who write down their goals achieve them. And if you read your goals once a week, it further enhances your ability to achieve them. Imagine just the act of writing your dream, just the act of writing your dream is going to make your brain think in that direction. Today, I want to share a personal story with you all. Growing up in India, when I was in high school, I used to always worry what's going to happen tomorrow, which college I'll end up, which university I'll go to, or which profession or career I would have. And I would just feel anxiety, worries around that. But that time, I used to write a personal diary. My personal diary had a lot of secrets, but it also had my dreams. Today, I want to share a note from my own personal diary, a note that I wrote on 22nd June, 1999. And my conversation was like a dream discussion with my God. So I said, "Dear God, I don't know what I want to be or what profession I want to be in when I grow up. But I want to do something that's considered an amazing field, a great career. And when I talk about my education, my journey, my career profile, it should be a wow moment." And I would close my eyes and imagine that. And I have a beautiful journey. I have achieved a few good things in life, and people are talking positive to me, positive about my journey, my profession. And I would feel that wow moment inside me. And this is how the universe responded. I did my majors in science, started my first job at IIT Delhi. I worked in the field of embryonic stem cells, had publications and book chapters on the same. And later, just to get a bit more money in my account, I switched to IT, and specifically to cybersecurity. And I've been in this field for over a decade. And looking back, my journey, it's always a wow moment. But is imagining and dreaming enough? Is it all it takes to achieve your dreams? No. You have to take action. Do what others are not willing to do. Get uncomfortable, get nervous, have that deep fire, desire in yourself that I need to achieve it. List out things you need to do for that. To publish a book, maybe learn a few things, maybe join classes and take some sessions, or just go to meetups. plan your actions, and take actions. Because remember, the universe does not give you what you want. It gives you who you are. I repeat, the universe does not give you what you want. It gives you who you are. So you have to be what you want in life. You have to be what you want in life, and the universe will respond. And finally, persistence, a great quality that allows us to continue pursuing our dreams and overlooking the setbacks, the roadblocks, or the failures. Don't focus on the failures. Look at what you learned from that. Keep moving further. And to summarize everything, my recipe to success: heat up an idea, take action, mix it up with determination and some persistence. Thank you. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Tammy Erickson with the speech title, Sticky Notes.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Kasmi. That was really great. I never thought about having a recipe. I guess I'm the surprise guest. So hopefully you can hear me. Is that a yes or a no? All right.
Yes.
So I'll go to a short story because I could have long stories. I'm known as a storyteller. I met Dr. Hasib some time ago when he was doing his mini podcast. And I kept attending and kept attending and kept attending. And then I finally read his book, as Dr. Dennis talked about, his cybersecurity leadership. Yes, they are on my desktop. I refer to them a lot, refer my students to them a lot, and quote them a lot. So I kept doing these things and writing these things down. And he kept saying to me, "What are you writing?" I guess I've actually made Dr. Hasib a little nervous. And I said, "Well, you'll just have to invite me to your podcast, and then I'll tell you what I'm doing." And he said, "Well, okay, I'll do it." So the podcast became all about my sticky notes. And so I organized them. And yes, you're going to have to hear my ums and so's. I'm not a Toastmaster at this point. And I put them all in order because what I do, and yes, it was so great that I am in part of his book. Just in case on its second book, just in case if you really wanted to know, I'm like on page 234 of his second book, because I believe that sticky notes are a really important way to remember things that you learn. Now, I carry sticky notes everywhere with me. I'm ashamed or not. I'll meet people in the supermarket, everyday people that tell me something, and I'm like, "Wow, put that down on a sticky note. I have to remember that for later. I have to share it with people." I'm a sticky note queen. People have dubbed me the sticky note queen because of it. So I do have somewhat of a reputation. And I collect these everywhere. And again, it's just a method for me to remember and use these quotes or things to remember. And I share them with my staff. I share them at meetings. Let's begin a meeting with one of my famous sticky notes. Let's, try to use it in some of our writing. So really work in these sticky notes. I will often keep a recent sticky note on my desk for a couple of weeks, and I will work myself. As we talked about, we've got to learn for ourselves, practice for ourselves. As we've heard today several times, you have to practice it. We've got to put it into action, or else why do we even bother? So some of these are sticky notes that I've practiced over time. So today, of course, from your presentations, I was taking sticky notes. Want to know? It's on your time. Empower others to achieve their greatness. Give back to others. Now, this one I encourage everyone to do. It's very important. And just to be case if it's not in this box, this is this month's box probably, is lifelong learner. Always about that. That's why I'm still here and still continue to come hang out with Dr. Hasib. Let's see. You have to keep on going. You have to keep on going. Here's a little personal story about this. This sticky note's probably going to go to my mom. So, Roseanne, I'll listen to or read your book about Alzheimer's. My mom has Alzheimer's. So one of the things I always tell her, she's only in her second stage, is that she's got to keep on going. And yes, I mean making her water the plants or doing a task list every day. Boy, oh boy, does she cuss me out. But she has to keep on going. That's the way that she will continue to make her goals and maybe not beat Alzheimer's, but hopefully will prolong it. So sticky notes going to our house. I liked the concept of protecting your brand today. That's something that I wrote down. My brand is trademarked. My tagline, as busy as a bee, is also copyrighted. So that way people can't steal those things from me, because it was very important. It took me a little while. I'm a compliance officer by trade, and reading all those and figuring out the forms was a little tricky even for me, but I did it. So I know that I don't have a lot of time as the surprise guest, so we could have a little bit of fun. But let's just do some fast round robins with what I've learned. And some of these are going to still be from Dr. Hasib. So, and I'm sure you could guess what some of those are. Let's see. Here's a good one. Things are reviewed only in a couple seconds. So when we talk about branding, and this might be in Dr. Hasib's book, things are reviewed only in a couple seconds. So when you are branding yourself and you put yourself out there, remember that people are going to look at it in 3 seconds, they're gone. So if you didn't capture them in 3 seconds, forget it. Oh, this is mine. Dr. Diva, that might be me. Describe you, this came from the last conference. Describe you in 3 words. I think that I came in a little late, but that might have been something Dr. Hasib might have been talking to on the front end. What do you describe yourself in 3 words? It is even almost less than an elevator pitch. Elevator pitch is passé these days. 3 words, describe yourself. How many people will you impact through your brand? It's not about, I mean, it's about you because it's your uniqueness. Sticky notes, right? I also have a whole nother presentation related to all the things I am made up as a bit of everything, but it's about who you're impacting using you and your uniqueness. I think Bill kind of said this. It's about impacting others. Grace said this, coming up and doing these things, just me. Who are you helping through your brand? Here's one. It's been in the bucket, but it said several times today, don't stop dreaming. Here's one that I continue to work on. It's okay to say no. How many of us today have a hard time saying no? Yeah, I work on that continuously. Here I am. Reactivate. Oh, don't be a reactive leader. So Bill's Bill, you must be in my box somewhere in here. Don't be a reactive leader. You're just putting band-aids on things. We could do our Rubik's Cube and we could just put band-aids all over the Rubik's Cube and then we could solve it real quick. But you need to be proactive. And when you're a proactive leader, your workers are much more happier. We talked about this. This is from Dr. Hasib. Cross-brand promotion. Dr. Hasib and I have done this for a long time. I promote his books. He promotes my bit of everything. It's back and forth, back and forth. We promote each other. We get higher up on the LinkedIn. As we continue to do that, he gets business, I get business, and we get recognized by liking, sharing, commenting on each other's posts. Cross-brand promotion is really important. We heard this today, I think. Tatiana, one of our first speakers. Not everyone wants to be perfect in the same things. Yeah, I don't think everybody wants to be perfect in sticky notes and wear a tiara, although I will say it's pretty cool, but maybe not fashionable for everyone. Oh, this one's from Steve Covey. For those of you who do a lot of leadership stuff, first things first. You have to do things in order. This is also part of Dr. Hasib's book. You can't all of a sudden just be successful. You have to start from the beginning to the end. Dennis said this, you have to start with your plan. You have to learn and understand who you are. If you don't really even know who you are, then what can you put into action? So you have to go from start to finish. We have a guest over here, my mom. What is my message? This is one of the first ones that I got from Dr. Hasib. I have to shake this up, but what is my message? What do you want to say? What do you want your brand to say? And I think a lot of that comes from who are you? Once as you know who you are, what you want your brand to achieve, that will tell you what your message is that you are sending, whether it's to your employees, to your company, to where you're going. I'm watching the time, Dr. Hasib. It looks like I have a minute. Some of the best leaders don't even realize that they're leaders at all. How about that? I have employees that are leaders, and I say, oh, thank you for leading the group. And they're like, what? Well, okay, well, time to sit down in my office. Let me tell you about leadership. Work responsibly. Embrace change. Challenge authority. That's definitely, it doesn't say who's on here from this one, but if anybody has to guess, that probably came from Dr. Hasib. He's always challenging authority, respectfully. Narrow your focus. Can't be everything to everybody. And it looks like I have had my 7 minutes of sticky note fame. I hope through the round robin of sticky notes this end of the morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you sit today, you've had an opportunity to learn a little bit about sticky noting. And it was a pleasure to meet all of you and once again present at this conference. It's always a pleasure. Dr. Hasib, thank you very much for having me. And with that, I am turning it back over to you, Hasib, for the final words.
Wow, what an event. We even had a surprise guest speaker who saw that somebody is missing and decided to step up. And that's what inner greatness is all about. I mean, look at her. She brought her sticky note crown. She was in costume and gave us a beautiful closing summary of what we did. Now, I would encourage every one of you who is open to it to turn on your camera, turn on your audio. I'm going to put it on gallery mode, and let's give all our speakers and guests a big round of applause.